Ocarina of Time, one of the greatest adventure games of all time, winning 11 awards and receiving 2 nominations, as well as being 6th on IMDb's top 250 rated video game list. Produced by Shigeru Miyamoto, published and developed by Nintendo, Ocarina of Time released in November of 1998 for the Nintendo 64, becoming the first game in the Legend of Zelda series to enter the 3D realm. Since its release, the game has been released on almost every generation of Nintendo consoles, coming to the GameCube, iQue Player, Wii, Wii-U, and the Nintendo Switch, as well as having a remake for the Nintendo 3DS. You may ask, why am I talking about Ocarina of Time? What can I say that has not already been said before? Well, the focus of this video essay is not going to be about the well-documented legacy of the game, but the massively active community behind the game, the Ocarina of Time speedrunning community, specifically the famous 18-minute and 10-second speedrun done by Narcissa Wright back in July 2014.
That's okay, that one was bad.
The 1810 speedrun, completed by Narcissa Wright, probably one of the most famous Ocarina of Time speedruns ever. It was completed on the infamous iQue Player, which was a Chinese exclusive Nintendo 64, which released in November 2003. Now for some quick context as to why the iQue was used and what the iQue is. The iQue Player was a joint venture between Nintendo and Taiwanese American scientist Wei Yan. It was made to combat software piracy and bypass the ban on home video games in China. This console was used for speedrunning due to Chinese text scrolling faster than any other language, and due to the specifications of the iQue Player, such as the increased memory and new processor and GPU, the games ran a lot more seamlessly than before. Now, Narcissa's use of the iQue Player found her butting heads with one of Super Mario 64's top speedrunners at that time, Siglemic. Here are a series of tweets between the two that were exchanged in November 2013. Though, despite the controversy, this did not discourage Narcissa from continuing to speedrun using the controversial iQue Player. Now in 2014, the 1810 was the record for the any percent category. To define any percent, it is a category that follows the rules of anything goes in the game as long as there are no external cheats or devices used. But before we delve into the complexities surrounding any percent, we must talk about circles. In particular, magic circles. The magic circle is a theory from Homo Ludens by Huizinga. Huizinga writes how games create a world that is separate from reality, and the player must follow a set of rules. Usually, these rules are applied by the game, but in speedrunning, rules are set by the community, and they exist within the confines of the game. The very basic breakdown of the magic circle theory is that there is a boundary between the player and the game, and that can be a board, a playing field, or a console. Now, when a speedrun begins, the runner steps inside the magic circle that already exists within an even bigger magic circle. That bigger magic circle being Ocarina of Time, which they initially stepped in upon starting the game, except we should call this a sub-magic circle because we are now playing Ocarina of Time under new conditions. These conditions being set by the game's community. Now upon stepping into this circle, there are 3 crucial elements to the speedrun, that being the game, the player, and the timer. Now, a great way to think of a speedrun is to imagine taking a game that already exists and then making new rules for it. Now, the community defined the rules, an example being reverse dungeon order, a category where the player must complete the game by completing all the dungeons in reverse order. Now, if the player is to stray from these rules, it no longer becomes a reverse dungeon order speedrun, it then becomes an all dungeons speedrun. And if the player chooses to stray further and skip a few dungeons, it will then become an any percent speedrun. Now we've cleared up rules around speedrunning and the magic circle theory and the rules of play. Now, Narcissa's run begins with over 3 minutes of introduction, which is already an interesting element to discuss because in 2021, the Ocarina of Time community held a poll where all the players were able to voice their opinion on whether or not the introduction cutscenes should be included in the final timing of the speedrun. Now, the developers intended for the player to watch this cutscene, though the community made their own rules where the player no longer has to follow the developer's original rules of play. Now, in the modern day, when you speedrun Ocarina of Time, the timer starts when you assume control of Link. So to skip the introduction cutscene, they still play on an original copy and on original hardware, they just make use of the save file system. So what you would do is you would start a file, watch the introduction cutscene, and then immediately after assuming control of Link is you would save and quit, and then for the foreseeable future you would just copy that file after the intro cutscene. Then you would never have to watch it for a speedrun. But now we need to delve into why the 1810 is such an important feat in speedrunning history. Now, for those who have never seen Ocarina of Time speedrunning before, or have never seen the 1810 speedrun before, I'm going to quickly break down the run so you have an idea of what goes on. Now, the speedrun begins with immediately escaping the Kokiri forest and heading to Kakariko village, collecting rupees along the way. At Kakariko village, Narcissa aims to obtain an empty bottle as quickly as possible, as this is a vital part of the speedrun. Upon obtaining her new bottle, she will then catch bugs, assigning bugs to the bottle, saves the game, and resets the console. This unveils one of the weaknesses of the IQ player, that being the fact that the console takes nearly 20 seconds to reboot. Upon rebooting the console, Narcissa then loads back into the game, starting back in the Kokiri forest, where using the rupees she's collected, she buys 2 sticks and a shield before performing a glitch to skip past Mido. Now, under normal conditions, to get past Mido, the game requires the player to have a sword and a shield, but with this glitch you're able to skip Mido without obtaining a sword. From there, she enters the Deku tree, grabbing Deku nuts and another Deku stick from nearby enemies, then climbing halfway up the Deku tree and performing another glitch, which allows Narcissa to skip the majority of the dungeon. From there she completes the Deku Scrub puzzle, enters the boss's lair before doing a trick known as Goma Clip, which enables her to get behind the barrier between the entrance to the boss and kill Goma from the outside. Now this is important for the wrong warp trick, where the bottle comes in handy. Using the bottle, Narcissa interrupts the warp cutscene by doing a glitch known as Ocarina items, allowing her to move around during the cutscene, and then allowing a specific number of frames to pass while navigating to the entrance of the boss chamber. This allows Narcissa to warp from the start of the game to the very end. From there, Narcissa has to sit through some small cutscenes before doing a glitch known as Instaclip to skip the collapse sequence.
Oh my fucking god, dude! Calm the fuck down.
The reason for the intense reaction to this glitch is due to the difficult nature of this trick, with external pressure not only coming from the timer, the game, the nerves, the Twitch audience. Achieving this near frame perfect trick is just nothing to scoff at. With the collapse sequence complete, the only thing that lies between Narcissa and finishing the run of a lifetime is the final boss, Ganon. Now, an interesting thing to note is that the game nerfs every single item in this boss fight except the Deku stick, which you are technically not supposed to be able to use in this fight, but because of the glitches used by Narcissa, Link is still in child form, so Narcissa can use the Deku stick to easily take down Ganon.
Oh, fuck! It's over. Ocarina of Time is dead. Any percent is done. That's it. That's it. It's over. It's fucking over. Oh my god, dude. That is better than the carry run by far, dude. The only mistake was the 4-second... I paused 2 extra times. That's the only thing I did wrong in the entire run, is pause 2 extra times. That's literally the only thing I did wrong. I'm never playing any percent again, unless some crazy new shit gets found, dude. That's it.
Now you are aware of the 1810 speedrun and the route that went into it, but now you might ask, why is it so important? Well, the importance of the 1810 massively lies behind the popularity and the hype behind Narcissa Wright at the time of the record. Not long before this run, Narcissa had featured on CNN due to her ability to not only be a strong competitor in various classic speedruns, but also a very entertaining streamer, sometimes pulling in as many as 20,000 viewers at once.
Highest ever, I got 18,700 people watching. And then there's other people doing it too, so people are like kind of competing against each other's time.
Narcissa streamed on Twitch, which, for those who don't know, is a live streaming platform which has a strong focus on the broadcasting and viewing of video game oriented content. Over the past 15 years, it has become a dominant force, not just in gaming, but in the media industry too. Throughout 2013, Narcissa had repeatedly streamed Ocarina of Time any % speedrun attempts on Twitch for thousands of viewers, likely becoming one of the first speedrunners to earn a living from Twitch streaming. Gradually, she lowered the world record to near perfection. One key thing to note is that speedrunning was relatively obscure up until live streaming took off in the early 2010s. The ability to watch high-level gameplay and world records being broken with an audience of like-minded users was something not many had experienced before. One of the main selling points of Twitch is the relationship between the viewer and the streamer that can be formed. Streamers often express their gratitude to viewers who donate, follow, or subscribe by giving their viewers on-screen recognition. There are various examples of this throughout the 1810 speedrun, where we can hear Narcissa discussing speedrun races with a member of the chat.
Oh, cool. Do you want to? I'm down for some races, Cools. I would totally do some races right now. It'd be the perfect time, actually, to do races. Get those no reset runs in.
And at the end of the 1810, Narcissa is seen adding donators' names to the top of the screen.
Thank you, Travis, for $5. Oh, actually, this is from Tam Lu. My bad. Tam Lu, the Google Glass guy from SGDQ. It was really nice to meet you and hang out for a little bit. I hope this donation helps. It was great to see you beat your PB last week. Here's hoping you get your sub 1820 soon. Oh my god! This donation was sent just before I got the record.
As well, speedrunning was not as open as it is today, with there being far less tools to aid in the practice of speedrunning video games. If a player decides to speedrun Ocarina of Time today, they have a plethora of tools they can use, such as the Ocarina of Time Practice ROM, which allows for the player to use save states, edit flags, and edit the game's memories, so the runner can practice tricks to perfection. Whereas back in 2013 and 14, runners like Narcissa had to have several copies of the game to have save files for certain areas of the game. This is so they could practice the tricks, or they had to use emulators, and emulators did not accurately replicate the conditions of the game, hence making them an unreliable practice method, making the act of getting a world record speedrun all the more impressive. Now, spectatorship has and always will be a huge part of speedrunning and the competitive gaming scene, with academics such as T.L. Taylor writing how competitive gaming is much like that of the traditional sport, with fans choosing their favourite players and avidly following their careers, with each game being treated as a different sport. T.L. Taylor also wrote how many of these players also streamed on Twitch, much like Narcissa Wright and other speedrunners, where they can amass a large audience. Some players' streams go further than just having the player in the game and begin to have layers of production, turning streams from a simple broadcast to a full-fledged show, though this can massively depend on the personality type of the streamer. Across Twitch, it's clear that the viewers opt to watch certain streamers over others. Some may opt to watch a streamer for their personality and entertainment value, whereas others may opt to watch streamers who are more focused on competition and claiming world records and high scores. Though Narcissa managed to engage both audiences, a key part of her success was not just that she was skilled at Ocarina of Time, but Narcissa held records in various games such as Castlevania, Beetle Adventure Racing, The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, and many other games. So not only did she cater to a large audience of Nintendo enthusiasts, but she also rivaled and clashed with various top runners from various different games. This allowed her to gain new viewers and introduce viewers to new speedruns, gathering support from different communities for her world record conquest. Bankov wrote how video game communities have evolved from a niche group of ostracized young individuals in the 80s and 90s to a dominant force in the modern economy, with many video game competitions having prize pools that rivaled that of sports tournaments such as Wimbledon. Speedrunning is no stranger to this, with the recent speedrunning tournaments having large prize pools. Speedrun.com, the central hub for speedrunners, now has a challenges tab where runners can compete in speedrun challenges to make money, with one of the top earners winning as much as $10,000 just from speedrun challenges. Though this is not on par with some of the esport tournaments mentioned by Bankov in their text, it shows how much speedrunning has grown in the past 11 years since the 1810 was accomplished. Based on what we have covered, Narcissa Wright and a milestone speedrun, though it is not the world record anymore, the legacy massively lies with Narcissa's entertainment factor as a streamer, as well as her gaming skills. The fact that she held so many world records in a variety of categories and different games was nothing short of amazing. But not only did she have the skill, she had the knowledge and the know-how as to why things worked the way they did in the games to back it up. Narcissa had provided various videos and write-ups explaining many of Ocarina of Time's famous glitches, such as RBA, Wrong Warp, and Instaclip, as well as being one of the founders of ZeldaSpeedruns.com, which provided a centralised hub for Zelda speedrunners, and as well she was one of the founders of Speedruns Live, a dedicated racing platform for speedruns to not only make it easier for viewers to find live streams of speedruns, but to make it easier for speedrunners to compete against each other. There are a lot more tools available now which work far better, but for the time, Speedruns Live was revolutionary and made a huge impact on the competitive speedrunning scene. As well, many view the route Narcissa was running, which is now referred to as the Kakariko route, as a simpler time in Ocarina of Time speedrunning, as it was a very entry-level category that many could pick up without much practice. Today, the Kakariko route has its own category on Ocarina of Time's extension leaderboards, where the rules are that the runner can only do tricks that were known around the time of the Kakariko route. Similar to what was mentioned earlier regarding Huizinga and the rules of play, the category takes an existing concept and applies new rules to it to establish new methods of play and creates a new magic circle for the players to enter. This category has found a new level of popularity, bringing back a variety of speedrunners such as Torje to compete with one another, and gives an idea as to how much impact the Kakariko route and the 1810 has held on Ocarina of Time speedrunning. Well, I hope you found this video informative on the legacy of the 1810 and Narcissa Wright. Though this run is not a world record anymore, it's heavily important that we preserve the history and understand why this run has such a historical importance. For me, this run was one of the runs that inspired me to start speedrunning myself and started my journey as a Twitch streamer, even though I found it 4 years later. It's essential to link key theories behind this speedrun, because a lot of things such as Huizinga's magic circle theory link very well with the speedrunning community. So, if you are yet to do so, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you want to follow Narcissa and show her some support, her current channel is called Nova Wright, and I will link it in the text box above, if not in the description. Now, I hope to see you all on the next video. Thanks for watching.